So good to see you all. I know more will be here. We still weren't dealing with COVID, but there are a lot of people on the live stream, which is a great feature to have. So I've got a lot of messages with people saying they're watching the live stream. So welcome to everyone on the live stream. And those of you who came out in person, really, really appreciate it. My mother appreciates it as well. I'm her daughter Bridgett, her only daughter, and this is her granddaughter, her only granddaughter, and the first grandchild, Bianca. And we're going to say a few words. We're going to get through this, so bear with us. But like I said, thank you all for being here. And I want to truly, truly thank my mother for being an excellent example of an elegant lady, a wonderful wife, a caring mother. You all who know her know she had a quiet strength. And she taught me and others how to handle situations with a calm and grace that has earned her love and respect of others. She exemplifies a virtuous woman. And by the way she lived her life, she passed it on through me. Passing it on to her granddaughter, my daughter, and her great-grandchildren, great-granddaughters. She had great-granddaughters. She wasn't great-grandmother, did she? So that will help to secure her legacy for generations and generations to come. Now, part of the title included in the description, a virtuous woman. I didn't just pull it from out the air. It comes out of the book of Proverbs in the Bible. If you know Almond, she had her autographed Bible with her name engraved from Oral Roberts University. So in book of Proverbs 31, verses 10 through 31, don't worry, I'm not going to read the entire chapter. I've highlighted certain verses that jumped out at me and remind me of my mother, and as you hear them, you'll know it too, and then you'll probably have a flashback in memory. So as I read the verses, I'm going to share a certain memory of her. So just bear with me. I'll get through this. But verse 10 is, who can find a virtuous wife? She is more than precious rubies. Now I'm going to share the story of how my father and mother met. I just love hearing that story. Like, Dad, how you and Mom meet? And he would say, oh, you want to hear how your mother trapped me? And I looked at him and I replied, I said, Dad, I saw the pictures of Mom, and y'all see the pictures of Mother too. I said, from back in the day when y'all met, you wanted to be trapped. So he would do his deep laugh. You knew my father had a deep baritone voice. Somebody just did it. And then he would begin to tell his version of how they met. And the way they met here in Springfield. My mother came from Greenville, Georgia. That's her hometown. And it's great. Some of her siblings are here. They're here. Some of her children, her nieces and nephews have come, and they're on the live stream. But she's from Greenville. My father's from South Carolina. But they met here in Springfield. So this is where their story begins. She was walking down the street. I think it was known as Six Corners at the time. Hancock, going all the way to Submerged. My dad said he was leaving from a wedding. So he was a little tipsy, so he had his friend drive. So as he's driving, as he's driving along as a passenger, he's looking out, checking out the sights and sounds of the city. And he sees this woman walking with 3 children. He's like, man. She's like, no, she got 3 children. So he keeps going. So he tells him, no, stop, turn around. He made his friend make a U-turn. He got out of the car and started talking to my mother. But she wouldn't, as late as she was, she would not give him her number. So he ended up giving her his number. And after he did, they said, she probably never going to call me. So months went by, and I guess it was Sunday. He was getting ready to watch his football game, had his little apartment, whatever. So the phone rang. He was getting his little beer and stuff together and watched the football game. He answered the phone. You know, my father's deep was, hello? So they hang up. He's like, who's playing on my phone? Call again. Hello? He hangs up again. So he's like, next time they call, he's like, hello? He was like, well, it was still deep, but it wasn't as, loud and demanding. I would say a little quiet voice line. If you know her mom, she has that southern draw, talk fast, quiet. And so he started imitating her voice. He's like, this is Almond. You know, she said her name and everything. She's like, is this Tay? He's like, yeah, who is? Like, this is Almond. Oh. So he's like, he got excited, but he didn't let her know that. So after that initial conversation, they were together. That's how they got together. But I think he tried to ask her out. She wouldn't do that. He had to go to, like, they were staying with Auntie Bianca, her older sister, and Big Will. So I think he had to go there first. You know how courtships go. She was playing by the rules. So, of course, I don't think Big Will liked him too much. My mother's a good girl. You know, the good girls like bad boys. My dad, my dad, he's for the streets. You know, handsome man, but, definitely wasn't what people would want for her. But they came together and they formed a family. And her husband, in verse 11, her husband can trust her and she will greatly enrich his life. And she will not hinder him, but help him all of her life. Now, my parents actually had an anniversary this week on the 23rd. So they were actually able to celebrate together in heaven because he passed in 99. But she was able to hold him in her arms into his last breath at our family home in Springfield, Buckinghamshire. And she was blessed to take her last breaths in the family home in her master bedroom, the home that they built together. So I want to thank my brother, making sure she was put in the hospice, that she was able to spend her last days in the home that they built for us. That's right. Surrounded by family, friends, and loved ones. Now, I'm in Georgia. I was making my way here, but before that, my brother would call a video chat. We do video chats. So I thank God for that modern technology. So I was able to video chat with me, my son Victor, and I think I got to have a call. I called my sons, my two sons, and wish her birthday and things of that nature. So she actually has 4 grandchildren. My other 2 sons are in Georgia. But so I really appreciate that she was able to spend her last moments in the home, surrounded by family and friends and loved ones. So I really appreciate that. And also in the Virtuous Woman, verse 15, states that she gets up before dawn to prepare breakfast for her household and plan the day's work. So that took me back to a memory as a child. I was on Milford Street. My mother would prepare breakfast. My dad would be at the kitchen table. My room would peek through the peephole. My room led to the kitchen, so I would hear the voices. They would try to talk soft. My dad's voice was deep, so he couldn't really whisper. But while she was preparing breakfast, he was sipping his coffee and they would have conversation. So I love seeing that. The nice love, the interaction between them two. And so that memory jumped out to me with this voice. And verse 16, with her earnings, she plants a vineyard. Now we know Almond loves her yard and garden. And people always wondered how she got her roses look so fabulous year after year. But she will get out in that yard. That's her favorite thing to do is gardening. And that grass, they got that grass so nice and thick like a carpet. But you better not step on it. You better not walk on that grass. And so I was gonna, hopefully looking forward to trying to help her this year with that. But that's not to be. And verses 17 through 19 states that she is energetic and strong, a hard worker. She watches for bargains. Her light burns late into the night. Her hands are busy spinning thread. Her fingers twist in fiber. She was a working woman before it was common for women to work. And then she didn't have a common job. She worked at Uniroyal. She worked at factory job. She worked at Uniroyal, Popper Tire Company, and at Tyflex, where she was a machine operator. But she didn't wear sweats and sneakers and things of that nature, or a jumpsuit or whatever. She still wore a blouse, slacks, and her low heels. She still had her hair done up. But she would work the night shift, the second and third shift. But she preferred working nights, so that way she'd be home to catch her soaps and favorite shows during the day. Not to call her because she wasn't going to answer that phone in her showroom. But she was also a master seamstress. She would make her clothes. She would make things that I designed as a child. As I got older, she would sew for people. She did gowns. She did robes for the church. She did robes for ministers. So she was a perfectionist. She was an excellent seamstress. You couldn't tell us from the store better than the store bought. And if she redesigned her house with some new antique furniture, because she couldn't find the right curtains, she would make her curtains. And it would be that expensive brocade thick material to be perfectly made. You couldn't take out what you got it from the store, but she made them. And verse 25, she was clothed with strength and dignity, and laughs with no fear of the future. If you know, she had a little infectious laugh. People love to imitate my mom and how she talked and laughed. So if you were around her, you know what I'm talking about. And when she speaks, her words are wise, and kindness is the rule when she gives instructions. She wasn't much of a talker, but when she talked, like I said, she fast talking. She would talk fast. Her voice be a little high. She still had that southern dialect. But when she did speak, she would share words of wisdom. What she said meant something. And she carefully watched her household, watched all the things going on in her household, and does not have to bear the consequences of laziness. From Norfolk Street to Buckingham Street, my mother kept the home immaculate. We don't know how she did it, but when she would be going to work or whatever, we thought we called ourselves sneaking into the living room, trying to sit on the furniture and pretend and things of that nature. And she would come home like, who's in here? Who's sitting on this? Who do that? I'm like, man. Back then, they didn't have cameras back in the 70s. I'm like, how she know? Sheesh. But she knew something was out of place when we was in that room and sitting on her furniture. We tried to smooth out of it. But she would know. She would know. She kept things in place and she knew when something was out of place. And if she saw another side of her. She didn't get mad a lot, but that's certain stuff she didn't play with. But the way she got mad was so cute, it was funny to us. But and finally, her children stand and bless her. Her husband praised her. And there are many virtuous and capable women in the world, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty does not last. But a woman who fears the Lord will be greatly praised. Reward her for all she has done. Let her deeds publicly declare her praise. And on that note, well done, Almond Muldrow, well done. Good and faithful servant.
So, I don't know how many of you follow me on Facebook. I am her granddaughter and first grandchild. It kind of feels like she had two granddaughters because Cassandra was always at the house with us. That was my baby. So if you rode down Buckingham Street and rode down and saw the White House with the two white lions, you would see me, Cass, and Bridgett and her neighborhood friends. Some of y'all have came and seen are watching on live, and I appreciate it. So I'm going to read a little bit of what I wrote and then share some memories of life on Buckingham and how beautiful my childhood was because of my grandmother and my grandfather. So on that Tuesday at 11:52, my youngest daughter, Jadira, and I were in a car accident. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, I had a dream before this even happened. And I was riding in my car and I decided to go to Georgia. And I put my children on a plane because you know how hard it is to drive 20-something hours with children in the car? Yeah, so in my dream I was like, they're going on a plane. And for some reason, the plane wing caught fire. So my soul left out my car and went into the plane. I saw my youngest daughter screaming and the other children were screaming. But it's just her who stood out to me. And before the plane went down, I woke up and I really felt that it was real. And those dreams only happen in the morning. So I saw that she was alive, it was fine. But I said, Mom, called my mom and I said, I gotta tell you something, I gotta tell you a dream. And if you know the Martin women, you know that we are very in tune. Some families are like that. And I feel like that day when we got into the car crash, my daughter screamed that same way in the dream, and then my grandmother passed in a little while later, and I feel like that was a warning that it was time. It was her time. Because my mom flew in on that day. But, so it started out with describing the crash in a sentence, but it Because later that night, I had to say goodbye to one of the most beautiful people I ever knew. And it's not something I ever wanted to have to do. I thought she would be here forever, honestly, because she was the most beautiful woman who ever fibbed about her age. Literally, like, my mom was maybe, in my mind, I'm thinking I started learning math around like first grade, second grade. But when she said she was 36, and I was like, that means that your daughter is like 9 years younger than you, like, or something. Like, I was like, you had a baby you had threes with my mom at like 12? Like, like, what does this mean? And for years, I could never get her age out of her. I never could. If y'all didn't put it in the thing, I would have known she was 78. Because your arm was snatched. Like, she was looking good. Thank you, Jesus, for the genes. I'm just saying. I can't explain how much I loved her. She was everything to me, and I am just a little messed up in the head about it. She will always be the queen of Buckingham. And if you ever met her, you loved her, and were always welcome to talk with her while she was outside tending to her yard or garden. Hardworking, witty, she was just charming. She was the definition of an independent woman. Never hired a painter because she loved painting her own walls. Antique white, over and over and over again. Like, she would go to the paint store and say, I got some new coat of paint. And I'm like, oh, what's she gonna do now? She's gonna do a ruby red, or we're gonna do some blue somewhere. And she said, no, antique white. Like, we doing it again? It's a new coat. I had to beg Hexie to ask her, like, for real, can I paint my walls green? And she let me, but it had to be the green that she chose. It wasn't gonna be no emerald. It had to be like as close to antique white green as you can think of. I think if she had a chance to tell them to mix a little bit more antique white in it, she did it. Went off to college, came back, they were back white. It's okay. My appreciation for antiques and lemon meringue pie. Every weekend, she would go out to her stores. We would somewhere start with Savers, end up at the antique shops around Forest Park or wherever she wanted to try and go. And I would be so excited. Sometimes she would let me get stuff too. There was one time we got this thing that we thought was like a vase. It was an urn. It was an urn. She said, Bianca, come look at this real quick. I'm like, all right, what is it? She said, opened up the bottom of the drawer. She said, what do you think that is? Like, sand? She was like, no. That's ashes. Mom dumped it out. She dumped it right in her rose garden. Her lemon meringue pies, we'll get those every trip. We'll get our snacks. If we did not leave with her, we heard it. We let my mother go out there by herself. Like, she left without us? That's our trip, and end up at Wonder Bread. Okay. The clank of her spoon while eating something good in her bed. And then she would do like a little dance, like, and then like move her feet over each other, and you hear, like, eat the last bit of it. Watching her rub oils from her vitamin pills on her skin and doing her arm exercises in the morning. She would just sit on the edge of the bed and just like do these, and then just, she would keep it in shape. I'm slacking. All right. That's how she kept it all in shape when I was in high school. Her playing Heavy D in the green Cadillac. Because she loved her some Heavy D. I don't know how that happened, but she was like, I can't get enough of him. Why are we listening to Heavy D? While Joyce is listening to Foxy Get Off. So backwards. And making the legendary breakfast sandwiches with the bread toasted, fried eggs, either bacon or a piece of fried bologna and grape jelly and cheese. It got to the point where my friends at school were like, oh, what is that? I gave them a piece. Everybody wanted some. I think Hexie came home one day and was like, don't be having my mother. in the kitchen making 12 sandwiches. Some get their own sandwiches. I didn't think about that. And she was willing to do it. She said, how many of your friends wanted them? All of them want them off the table? Okay, I'm gonna do it. And she had them already wrapped in foil. Wrapped in foil before I left the door. Waking up on weekends to hear her stories, I said that we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, she never missed a meal. Like, I would wake up to already smelling the food. Like, what time did you wake up? Every time. It got to the point where if I spent the night at somebody else's house and their family made breakfast entirely too late, I'm like, I'm not coming back over here tomorrow. No more. They don't know how to act. I am hungry. Making sure I had the nicest comforter sets. We'd go to Sears, or she would see something out and about, and she liked to bargain shop, but she liked the quality of the fabrics. I think it was the quality of every single thing in her home. It didn't have to be expensive. It just had to be worth the money. Not cheap. Nothing cheap. Her southern tongue was so fast and having to tell our friends what she was saying so they could understand and respond. So if anybody knows, the guys in the neighborhood, we grew up with each other since like diapers. And I would wonder why they were just standing there whenever she was talking to them. I'm not trying to sound rude, but we don't understand what she's saying. I'm like, still? She said, how you doing and how's your mother? Like, oh, fine, Miss Muldrow. All right. I can't explain how much of a bond we developed. When she wasn't well, I had anxiety and was constantly restless. And when she was good, I could finally sleep through the night. You're good now and I can sleep. But the days have been gray. I'm trying to sing it away. I saw your cardinals before you passed, and now I keep seeing robins. And I feel like it's you. All your advice and words of wisdom I hold on to. I will make you proud, and I know you're still here. You told me and showed me everything I needed to know about a Martin woman, about what a Martin woman was made of. Your legacy will continue. I love you, Mom. I love you. I love you, Almond. I miss you every minute and every second. You'll be the first person I looked for, kid. Shotgun and you and Papa's Cadillacs. And that was the end of my post. Now, she was everything. She made sure that we got to school. The family was a unit, and they didn't even have to be. And they were there for me and my brother, allowed my mother to work. And she was the rock. She is the rock. As I got older, when I was younger, I just was like, she's always getting me in trouble. She's always mad at me. What did I do now? I accidentally dropped a plastic toy. Hexie's Rockwaller in it. Got popped. I was like, he hates me. Always frowning. But when I got older, if ever I was sick, she was concerned. It was like 2 or 3 times she'd be like, Brittany. I'm like, no, Mom. No. You just got a stomach bug. She's nice. When I became a mother, I have videos of her holding my daughter, and there were words flying around, something serious. And those are like little white balls that you'll see in the camera all over her shirt flying around. She loved her son Braylon and Jadira. She always asked about them. And they remember, like, because of COVID, we couldn't really go up to the house like that, like, all the time. The girls are always having visitors or something. So we would say hi to her, and then probably when we drove off, we'd be like, we're not going out. But the funniest moments is when she would get mad, like, I don't know if you guys know of a singer named A-Marie, and she's like kind of mixed. So grandma just was like, that's her real hair. I said, no, Mom, that's a weave. You calling me a liar? Like, no, I'm not calling you a liar, and I don't want to keep because I know Hex is gonna correct me. About these biscuits, I opened up a biscuit. I don't know if I was trying to put the butter inside the biscuit. She told me to put it on top. It drove her crazy real quick, and I was like, Mom, I want to put the butter inside the. Why you gonna do that? Next thing you know, you sassing my mother. Like, I'm done. Hearing her and Tabitha talk, that is the dopest conversation you'll ever never understand. Unless you listen real close, I know me and Cassandra used to be like, and then they'll laugh like, you know, like, okay, they're so cute. I know that was her best friend. Auntie and her were just like, those were besties. But yeah, I like to think we had our girl talks. And she definitely put me onto some game, like, yeah. But definitely appreciate everything that we've grown to have as I became an adult. And I appreciate her for everything. And yeah, I can't really, I'm trying to keep this video going right now. Yeah, love you, Mom.